I came home from my father's funeral to find a giant white tent pitched on my front lawn. Balloons, flags, folding chairs like a carnival had moved in while I was gone. A huge sign read, "Estate Auction, Public Welcome." And here's the kicker. They were auctioning off my ranch while I was still alive. Act 1. The clash begins. The dust from West Texas still clung to my black suit, gritty from the cemetery, gritty from 3 days of watching my dad go. All I wanted was silence, the Rockies on the horizon, and the porch swing where he and I used to sit. Instead, I got a parking lot of strangers and luxury cars lined up like vultures. I slammed my truck to a stop. There she was, Karen Duncan. Blonde helmet hair, white pantsuit, spotless as snow, clipboard in hand like it was a weapon. President of the Elk Ridge HOA, a title she wore like a crown. She turned and smiled at me like she'd just won. "Cole," she purred, "so sorry for your loss. But this auction is legally sanctioned. You're behind on dues." I didn't even blink. My father kept records like a banker he hated that HOA, and we were never part of it. "Karen," I said, steady as I could, "get your people your tents and get off my land." She laughed. Actually laughed. "You don't understand. This isn't your land anymore." She waved fake papers like they were holy scripture. 5 minutes to move that truck or it's towed. 2 polo shirt goons set up a barricade at my driveway, clipboards in hand, puffing out their chests like they were the Secret Service. My driveway, the one my dad and I paved when I was 16. I could have screamed, could have ripped those papers in half, but rage makes you sloppy. I learned that in the Army. So I just looked at her, looked at the circus she built, and thought, the fight just started. She has no idea who she's messing with. Act 2. Escalation and doubt. Sheriff Miller rolled in 20 minutes later, dust swirling behind his cruiser. He was a tired man, 30 years in uniform, more paperwork than backbone. Karen shoved her clipboard at him like a stage prop. "Sheriff," she said, sweet as syrup, "Mr. Bishop is interfering with a lawful auction. Here's the court order over $80,000 in unpaid dues." $80,000. My dad would have burned the barn down before missing a bill. But the papers looked real stamps. Signature seals. Miller sighed. "Cole, this paperwork looks legitimate. Without an injunction, my hands are tied." And in that moment, I felt something crack. My neighbors were hiding. The law was blind, and Karen was winning. Bidders shouted numbers 500,000, 6-7, like they were carving my life up piece by piece. I stood there in my funeral suit wondering, am I crazy? Did my dad hide something? Should I just walk away? For the first time, I thought about giving up. Then headlights roared up my drive. A black Ford Raptor slid to a stop behind my truck. Out stepped Jake, my best friend, my brother from the service. Bigger than me, shaved head tattoos, snaking down his arms, calm as a mountain. He didn't say much, just handed me a thermos of coffee. "Long drive," he said. That was all I needed. I wasn't alone. I reached into my glove box and pulled out my ace, a worn leather folder. Inside, my family's original deed, 1888, signed by the governor himself. Proof that this ranch had been ours for 4 generations, miles outside HOA territory. Karen's face went pale, then twisted. "That's just old paper," she hissed. "This court order overrides everything." Right on cue, another car screeched up. My lawyer, Reed Johnson, briefcase in hand. He stormed the stage, voice booming, "Sheriff, those documents are forged. The notary died last year. The case number belongs to a traffic ticket from another county. And the Bidders LLC, owned by Robert Duncan, Karen's husband." The crowd gasped. Even Miller's weary face hardened. Karen's smirk crumbled. She wasn't the queen anymore. She was a crook caught in broad daylight. Act 3. The showdown. Karen panicked. She lunged for the auctioneer's gavel and slammed it down. Sold to Mountain View Investments for $1.1 million. Binding contract. The auctioneer nearly fainted. Miller froze, torn between law and lunacy. For a split second, I felt the weight of all of it, my father's legacy, hanging by a thread. So I did the only thing that made sense. I walked into my house, past the photos, past the silence, and took my father's Winchester Model 94 off the wall. One bullet was enough. When I stepped onto the porch, the crowd went dead quiet. I leveled the rifle not at them, but at the berm behind the corral. One clean shot cracked through the valley, echoing off the mountains. Chairs toppled, bidders screamed, the whole circus scattered like scared pigeons. In 10 seconds, Karen's kingdom collapsed. She tripped, snapped a heel mascara streaking down her face, shrieking for Miller to arrest me. But he'd had enough. His hand was on his cuffs, not his gun. "Karen Duncan," he said flat and final, "you're under arrest for fraud, forgery, and conspiracy to commit theft." Click. The cuffs closed on her wrists. The clipboard dropped in the grass like trash. And just like that, the woman who thought she could steal my home during my father's funeral was nothing more than a criminal dragged off her stage while her husband tried to slip away. Closing line. Home isn't just dirt and wood, it's family, it's history, it's everything worth fighting for. And some things you don't put a price tag on.